So, the SeaKayak Safety Pass. Okay, let's have a chat about it.
Well, I brought some of the SeaKayak Safety Passes with me today, so I can show it to the audience. It has been a few months since we first launched it, and we have been busy for 3 months in a whole just to write it and to develop the SeaKayak Safety Pass. It's based on our program that we are running since almost more than a decade, and we got a lot of questions during the past decade of people asking us, okay, you're training in a certain way, and what is your system? And I always had to say, okay, this is the NORTHSEAKAYAK system, but I really had nothing to show them or to give with the people. Yeah. And now that has changed. You must know we're not a big company, so everything takes time. Also the SeaKayak Safety Pass, I have my own copy with me. It takes time, and so for the people who were waiting on this, well, here it is, finally it's there.
Okay, so can you tell what the SeaKayak Safety Pass exactly is?
Yes, it's a very tiny booklet. As you can see, it almost fits in your pocket. Yes, indeed. So it's small size. It counts more or less 100 pages, and it is divided in a way that you have chapters where we explain you something over multiple pages, and then all of a sudden you get the chance, when we get to the techniques that you should master as a responsible sea kayaker. Then we changed the way we wrote the book. It means on the left side we will describe a technique, and on the right side we're gonna leave space for you to self-evaluate, or to present to a coach of your choice. It can be with us, but it can also be with somebody else, to a coach. Okay. Then the coach can assess you and say, okay, that you have done this technique the right way, as in the description. I'm gonna sign it up for you. Okay. With the date, also with the place, and it's connected to several conditions.
Okay. So what is the goal of the SeaKayak Safety Pass?
For the goal, I can be very brief: to improve safety within the sport. So nothing more, nothing less. It's not a commercial project, to be clear. What we ask for the SeaKayak Safety Pass merely covers the cost. That's it. And you can do with it you can do whatever you want with it. If you say, okay, I'm going to follow classes with you, that's fine. If you don't, also fine. If you live in a neighborhood where you have no connection with the federation or a coach, you can fully move on through the SeaKayak Safety Pass on your own. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking about levels, how does that work out?
The levels, yeah, we're given the levels some thought, and as you can see in the booklet, we start a bit about the goal, the why, the how, on how to use it. We left some spaces like this. It's your book, so of course it's our logo on it, but in the end it's your book. You write your name on it. There's space to write your kayak, the serial number of your kayak on it. Your in case of emergency contacts and whatnot, so you really can it's personal. It's like a passport, but a passport that follows your trajectory. Now about the levels, they are clearly, briefly but very clearly explained on the page 17. So we work with a few levels, and let me explain very briefly, because it's all in the book. We start with inland, because over the years we've met some people who were saying, okay, I have a sea kayak, I want to do sea kayak, but I'm on a lake, a very big lake with waves if there is wind, but it's still not an open sea. It's not tidal affected.
Of course,
So we did not forget about those people. They are equally important to us as the people who are paddling in tidal affected seas. So we didn't forget about them. So we made the first level inland. If you read in the book, for inland, it means that every technique that follows in the SeaKayak Safety Pass should be mastered in a sheltered body of water without tidal movement and up to and including force 4 in the Beaufort scale of wind. That gives you some direction. Okay, this is where I need to be to perform that technique.
Okay.
So inland is the first step in the SeaKayak Safety Pass. Now the second level is coastal, which says it all. Coastal means tidal affected, but still close to shore, close to safety. If we have a look to that level, we say, okay, you must master all the techniques in a tidal affected area, but the tide must be under 1 knot. So that's about more or less 2 kilometers an hour for the people who don't work with knots. So 1 knot maximum. Up or up and to including force 3. So 1 knot of tidal movement and force 3 of wind maximum. That's for us coastal. If there is no access to tidal affected areas, we have not forget about those people as well, because I know people who paddle in the Mediterranean, for example. They have an open sea, open water, but in certain areas there is no tidal movement. So you might think, okay, the SeaKayak Safety Pass stops there. No, it doesn't. For those people we have embedded something, and we say if there is no access to tidal affected waters, at 1 Beaufort, force 1 extra to the tree.
Okay.
So you're gonna level it up with the wind, with the force of the wind. And it brings you more or less in the same conditions. It's a difficult thing because it's international. You should be able to use it anywhere on the planet. So the purists might say, okay, this is wind comparing to but we have found a solution that gets people involved in the SeaKayak Safety Pass who are not paddling on tidal affected waters. We also say the booklet includes a list that's it starts on page 9. So there's a list. It's also divided in 3 parts, which the first part is mandatory. If you are a responsible sea kayaker, you must carry all the items from the first part, and it gets the same reflection in our levels. For all the levels, starting from inland upwards, we say every piece of equipment that is on the first part of the safety equipment list, you must carry that. If you don't have that equipment, then you really can't start with the SeaKayak Safety Pass. It's like paddling without a PFD, for example. You must carry a PFD at all times. That's maybe the simplest thing I can say about it. So we were talking about coastal, that's our second level. And then we, not ending, but the highest level is the level 3, and it's offshore. And it's also on page 17. The offshore level brings the sea kayaker up to open water. So it's not sheltered anymore, it's open water. And over there we start with a tidal movement of 1 knot. So it's everything above 1 knot of tidal movement minimum. If it's more, fantastic. You can build it up anywhere you want. If you're living in an area where there's a tidal current of, let us say, 2, 3, 4 knots, that's fine. That's the meaning of the offshore level. And there, when we speak about windage, about wind speed, it starts from force 4 on the Beaufort scale.
Okay.
So if you perform techniques, you must do it in a tide minimum 1 knot and a force of wind minimum force 4. The same here. If you're living, for example, the Mediterranean, or you're living in Croatia, where there is absolutely no tidal movement, you might think, okay, then it stops there. No, it doesn't, because you can paddle very far away, it's still open water, it's still offshore, but there's a lack of tidal movement. We're going to do the same as in previous level, we're going to add 1 to the before scale.
Okay.
So then it starts with force 5, which is already a big thing. Okay?
Okay.
These are our 3 levels.
Yeah.
And I can say, okay, it stops there. No, it doesn't. We have included because we were thinking about people who are just like we did back in the days, who are saying, okay, no, I travel with my crew, with my team. What then? Well, the next level brings you to the level of team leader within our system. Team leader, or you can be team leader for each of the 3 previous levels.
Nice.
The only condition, and that's a very important one, the condition is before starting, because team leader, it starts somewhere in half of the book. Before starting your very first steps as a team leader, you must master all the techniques in the book, really all of them, and the conditions or in the level you want to be or you want to become a team leader. So I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
You want to be a team leader in level 1, inland. You say, okay, I'm living at the lake, I'm guiding the people of my club, for example, and I want to be official according to our system, a team leader. That's fine, that's possible. Master all the techniques in that level, fluidly, so not half a half. Don't be happy too soon or you might regret it later. Make sure you master all the techniques and then you can start on the part team leader.
Okay.
Just to be sure. You can do it for all 3 levels. So inland, coastal, offshore. Really doesn't matter, it's up to you to become team leader. And the very last thing we also embedded, we thought about people who have no access to systems. That's also always very important. And those people say, okay, I can't go to another coach, I cannot get a certificate from my federation or the club because I don't have a federation or I don't have access to a club or whatever. This system allows you to become instructor under certain conditions. That's very important. Over here it's the same for the level of instructor. It's the same as team leader. You must master all the techniques of the level you want to become an instructor in first, before you can take your steps. Maybe something to add to the levels. If people start using these levels and they're a little bit overthinking it, and the purists among us or the people who might think, oh, this might be rubbish because what, all in this tiny book? Yes, this is the trajectory that we followed. So it works. I can guarantee you this. If you read the book, certainly the first pages where we explain to the user how to use the book, because that's very important. You can misuse the book as well, but if you use it the way we intended it, then this will work equally like any other system in the world.
Okay, so I see it's also about self-evaluation. Is that right?
Yes. Let me start with self-evaluation. Let's maybe just take a pick. We have page 57 where you see the re-entry and roll.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter because it's for all the techniques. I just picked one out. If you see on that page, you can really see, like I said before, on the left side the technique is explained. Like in this case, it's the re-entry and roll. It explains to you the requirements. That's very important. If you want to succeed, be successful in performing that technique, have a look at the levels. Do you want to perform the re-entry and roll in inland conditions, coastal conditions, or offshore conditions? So that's the first step. And then the second step, read. This is not a manual. It really is not a manual, but it will tell you what to do. It will give you the requirements to perform a fluid and successful technique, in this case re-entry and roll. And then you have on the other side, on the right page, this allows you to self-evaluate.
Nice.
Before moving on to working with a coach, with a system or with a club, let's start with self-evaluation. Like I said before, the beginning, first part of the book explains you how to self-evaluate, because that is not very easy. You must perform certain things before you can self-evaluate. Don't rush. Do not overestimate yourself, or a few examples that are written in the first part of the book. But then you are there, okay, you say, I'm going to try my re-entry and roll in coastal waters or in inland or offshore waters. It really doesn't matter. And you feel, okay, this worked. And it did not work once. You did it a few times with a week in between. So you're already busy for a few months. You say, okay, this works every time. It works every time. I have no failures in the conditions I wish to complete it. Then you can perfectly, on this side of the booklet, you can write down the date, the location, and then the technique, of course, that you performed. So date, location, and this, if you can see it, it says self. Self means self-evaluation. Okay. And that's specifically for the people who don't have access to systems, and that's very important, because at this point we already met a lot of those people, and to be honest, we were one of them. We were one of them. Right. We've been paddling for 20 years without backup. Actually, we are the backup, and we hope to give something back to the community with this booklet, certainly for the people who don't have access to coaches and systems or federations. Right. So self-evaluation. Nice. And it goes through the whole book for every technique.
Nice. Okay. So would you say that this is a system?
Well, it is, to be simple. It is a system, but it's perhaps the most simple system that exists right now, and it's also, to my knowledge, to be clear, to my knowledge, it's the only system that can work with self-evaluation. I know people, and I was one myself, that are buying a few good books, and I have a few very good books from very good coaches in my home library, that I consider even the Bible. There are some very good coaches out there, but they were always too far away to get courses from or to get lectures from. So I started myself by doing this, because this is really the gap that needs to be filled. And I think with the SeaKayak Safety Pass, we have done a great job of filling that gap and thinking about the people who do not have access to coaches or systems, like I said before.
Okay. And does it work with other systems?
Now here's the funny part, or the really nice part of it. Because I know there will be a lot of people looking at this conversation, and they will think, okay, it's for the people who don't use a system, but I'm with a system, I have a coach, I'm with a club, I don't need the SeaKayak Safety Pass. Well, like I said, we've been busy for 20 years within sea kayaking. We met all kinds of people, different levels, different locations, different characters, access to clubs, not access to clubs, access to coaches, and whatnot. This allows people to use the SeaKayak Safety Pass even with the use of another coach, of another club, and even with the use of another system.
That's great.
So you know, there are a few systems that are well known on our planet, that are well developed, that are good quality, but these people can also use it, because it tracks progress. And there is, to my knowledge, to be sure and for the record, to my knowledge, there is not another book in this size, in this form, that tracks your progress. I know of people that are doing it digitally, which is fine. Their club takes notes about their behavior, about their progress, but it's digital. And I'm still from another generation, and a lot of people are, this fits in your pocket.
Of course.
It's with you all the time.
So you're saying that the pass can be used everywhere? Yeah.
The pass, the SeaKayak Safety Pass, can be used everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
It's been a few months now since the launch, and I can proudly say that the SeaKayak Safety Pass has found its way not only in our own country and in Belgium,
Yeah.
but we've sent copies to, and I will forget some countries, so I'm sorry for that, but we send them out to New Zealand,
Yeah.
Canada, Italy, Poland, France, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom, where they have a very solid system. But even then, and I forget some countries now. It's
Too much.
it's actually too much.
Yeah.
I had a realistic vision of the SeaKayak Safety Pass, and I thought by myself, okay, this is realistic. There will be people that will be interested in the pass who already told me in advance, if you write a book, we need to have it.
Nice.
But the number of SeaKayak Safety Passes that have been sent now are way beyond my realistic expectations. Way beyond. So that's really a good thing, and we're glad that we can finally give something back to the community.
So how do people reach out to get their copy?
Oh, that's also a very simple answer that I can give you. If you want a copy of your own SeaKayak Safety Pass, then you must send us an email. We will make sure that our email is somewhere below in the footage here, so you can easily find it. If you send us an email, it's just an email for information. We will send you an email back with all the details, so the price, the shipping, anywhere on the planet. Like I said before, this is maybe also a good thing to state here. The price we ask for the booklet merely covers the costs, and in some cases, if people are living on the other side of the planet, then it's possible that the shipping costs are actually exceeding the costs of the booklet.
Oh, wow.
It's not because the shipping costs are that expensive. No, it's because we kept the booklet without without profit. That's the only reason why you pay in some cases that you pay more for the shipping than for the booklet itself.
Okay.
Another thing, if we ship it, we will also make sure, so you're paying for the shipment of course, but we make sure, like you can see, to put it in a protective envelope.
Yeah.
So if it travels along the globe, that it doesn't get
Damaged.
with you in damaged or ruffled or whatever.
Okay.
So it's just send an email, we give you the details, and then it's up to you to decide whether you get your copy or not.
Okay. Thank you for the clear explanation. Many
Okay,
thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay.
Amai, hebben we die nog?